Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome back to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And we're back at our first impressions.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yes. And we are beyond the sun.
Beyond the sun. Yes, I was going to say something stupid about the pews being space lasers.
Yes, there are not any space lasers in this game, but there's always room for expansions.
There you go. Beyond the who knows what.
Space lasers. Yeah, I guess you could maybe
beyond
say
the
there are space lasers in the ships.
Yeah, there was
going around
a little bit of combat type thing there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going for control, so you could argue there's some space lasers.
Just make the expansion. Beyond the sun, space lasers.
It's printing money. No, so that this one has nothing to do with space lasers and much more to do with tech trees.
Yes. Much more exciting.
Yes, a much more exciting thing. If you're an accountant. Maybe. Or if you like crunchier games and less... I feel like if it was about space lasers, you would be rolling a ton of dice.
Yep.
We don't really roll any dice in this. I think you can roll your one thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
There was one time I think we did it, but
yeah.
It's not really even. It doesn't really do too much. But I feel like that would be a lot more die rolling. This is a lot more worker placement and unlocking new technologies across the board throughout the game.
Yeah, unlocking your income and things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which, right off the bat, my thoughts on this or hopes for this game were pretty high based on that. Based on what I'd been hearing about it, and it was kind of Euro-y with that space theme. It seems like a lot. Well, should I say it's probably not anymore. But at one point, it seemed like space themes were mainly the one that were not going to be as Euro-y.
Yeah.
Might have some,
but now it feels like they're getting.
But now it seems like they're using that theme a little more.
Popular ones as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Pulsar is one of those.
Yep, that one as well. But yeah, the Dice Tower crew all seem to really like this one.
Yeah.
I didn't think at first it was the greatest looking board and stuff, so I could see that being a little bit of a turnoff. But I think once we kind of got playing it and put our pieces out there, I mean, it's still, I wouldn't say it was like, oh my gosh, this is the best looking board of all time or anything, or even close. But I was like, by the middle of the game, I was kind of like, it's middle of the road. It's not as awful as I kind of had in my mind envisioned.
Yeah, well,
like I was like thinking it was like a soulless type game where it's like, it's spreadsheets.
If it was all just white like the player boards, then we'd have a problem. But
yes,
I've never had a problem with the look from what I've seen online. Which I mean, usually I'm just ready to attack. I'll use anything to attack one of your Euro games.
Beloved.
Yeah, but I would say it's on the positive, I would say, for the board and the cover as well, which I haven't heard as many people complain about the cover, but some have. I really like the look of the game.
Actually, I think
it looks different from everything else.
Right, yeah. When I was looking at it online, for some reason I was thinking the cover looked a lot duller than when I actually got it in person. So that was, I wouldn't say a relief. I didn't hate it. It wasn't like, oh, I hate this cover, but I just thought it kind of looked dull, but then once I got it, I was like, it's not as dull as I thought it looked. It actually looked pretty good. So it made me more excited to play it even. So my expectations going into this were pretty high, and we played this one time each, I think. Unless you loved it so much you went and played it two-handed.
Well, actually, you did not play this once. You
played
this
true.
Twice.
That's true. I forgot.
If you can call that playing.
Right. The first time, I don't know if I call it that much, but I played it on Board Game Arena, where I think this is one of the... There's some games... I mean, I think it worked. I believe it's a good system, but there were some things I don't think I fully understood how it was working or what the cards were asking me to do. I don't think I read the rules, or I must have missed one of the rules based on I don't remember what the action's called when you end up taking the different planet cards.
Yeah.
I had misunderstood like controlling something or whatever for going around and actually having influence on the different planets, but what I really needed to do was claim those cards. So I'd kind of really played it very wrongly, because getting those cards also helps you get your incomes up. So when you don't do any of that, it becomes a very difficult game.
Yeah. Which, playing it wrong on there, it doesn't let you play it wrong, but it
Right.
also could confuse you some more. At least if you play it wrong in person, you
Right.
get to live in ignorance happily. But on there,
Right.
you're just like, why isn't this working? Because I think you had some scoring thing that you're like, why are they taking these planets, and why am I not scoring this?
Right, because I kept thinking that. So then I think I ended up pulling up the rules and being like, "Well, what the heck does this even mean?" And then I found it out. But it was at that point in the game I had pretty much lost. Like I had gotten so far behind them that I didn't really have a chance of recovering at that point. But I still liked a lot of what was going on in the game, so it was one I wanted to try more. But I also thought it's kind of one of those games that has text on many different spots. So it's very tough to do that, I think, in a app or whatever board game arena type space. Like it does a good job, but it's difficult because then you have to like go over each one and see what each one does.
Yeah.
And
it feels like that would be easier, just hover and read it, but it just can't compare to in person.
Mm-hmm. Right, I agree. And I would say the text on these is not the easiest to see like from across the board either. So I mean, it's not like this you can easily read it and you can be sitting away from it. You still have to kind of pick it up, but that's way easier, I think, than having to look at it on a screen. And I think if I had more plays, it would probably, I'd kind of remember in my head like, okay, well, that one does this, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because now that I've played it again, kind of knowing the actions and what they all do, there's a very limited action pool as to what you can do, but all the cards kind of give you like different ways of doing them.
Yeah.
So high expectations going into our play.
I didn't really have that high of expectations. I mean, I like the look of the game and the unique dice that you get, even if you don't roll them, which I don't know if I thought you would roll them or not, but I don't think I ever thought you would actually roll them. But yeah, I like, component-wise, I really liked the game, so I was a little more into playing this over some of your games that maybe don't look as nice.
Like Brass Birmingham?
Yeah, that one. But yeah, so my expectations weren't that high, really, even though I had heard a lot about it. I thought it was probably going to be pretty crunchy and pretty hard to play and actually get stuff done and get to up the tech tracks. I thought that might be a little too hard for my taste in games.
Yeah, but after my second play, I think I'd put this one for myself at about an 8 to 8.5. I really did it. Well, going into this play, I did have feelings from the first game, and I obviously wanted to do better than what I did there. And kind of knowing then kind of how those things worked, it made this experience much better. But I knew the underlying stuff was stuff that I was liking when I was playing it. 8 to 8.5. I really liked how I don't know that we really have any tech tree games.
Not as just pure tech tree.
Right.
As this.
Right, where you're using these to unlock the next level, to unlock the next level, to unlock the next level.
Yeah, just like that's everything that you're doing. That's the actions. Like maybe you can unlock abilities or something with a small tech tree in a game, but this is actually just the board of actions. That's the tech tree.
Right. Yeah, you're unlocking the different actions as part of the tech tree. And then you can kind of I don't think that I really did, but I think you might have a little bit more than I did. But you can focus on one of like the 4 areas that they had to kind of play your game to that type of style. And I'm really looking forward to kind of trying to see how, if I did go down each different type, kind of how they'd all play out differently, or what actions are out there for those ones. I think that could be really fun as to how those would come out and go together or whatnot. I look forward to playing this a lot more. So I hope you like it at least a little bit. Hope you give it a 7.
I like it
Plus.
a little bit. I like it a little bit more than you do. I'm going to give this a first impression of 9.
Wow.
I really really enjoyed this.
I thought you might be around an 8 or 7.58 because you seemed to be a little quiet, so I wasn't. I didn't think you hated it,
no.
and I thought you might like it a little bit more than like an average game.
Yeah.
I think an average game for us, just because we usually have a lot of information from like a Dice Tower or some other content creators. I think we typically get pretty solid games, so it's not like we're getting
we've been
that
fortunate
many
with that. Yeah.
terrible games. So I think usually for us, an average one is around a 7.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, it was a lot easier. I mean, I feel the goals really gave you a goal in the game, where sometimes there's not that much of a goal. It's just like, oh, get this and this, and it's like, maybe I'll get that. I don't know.
Right.
But this one, I believe the 2 core goals were get 4 planets and get a level 4 tech, which I think just sets you on the path to do that in this game. And I didn't find myself, I was worried this would be like just a huge long-term strategy type of game, but I found myself just thinking about my next few moves and what do I need to unlock this tech, and then doing it. And then it's like, okay, what do I want to do? I want to go get this planet next. And then just taking your 2 or 3 turns to get that.
Right.
I thought, because I was really worried, I was like, it's going to be way too thinky, but it was not at all for me way too thinky. It was, I would say, the perfect level for me.
Yeah.
And I really love the income in the game. That can be temporary income for the different planets that you have control of over the game, and only getting to take one of those income, either your ore or your population, or I think there's another one that we didn't really do.
I don't know that did we use it at all?
I don't think we did, but
and I don't know that you're going to,
I think that might
unless
just
you
be a little,
really
really need to do something.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I really liked it. The actions actually felt like they are getting better. It wasn't like, oh, I flipped this as useless. And I was interested. I'm like, these actions are all mixed up. What if we just happen to go for ones that just aren't the ones that need to be revealed? And because some of them unlock other things on the, I forget exactly what they were called, those other actions on the left side of the board.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember what they were called either, but just kind of, there's 4 other main actions that we have access to once they're unlocked.
Once you reveal the card.
Unlocked. Yeah.
If they get unlocked. And I was worried, I'm like, that seems weird that you don't have access to that, and you may not if you don't go down that path, but I didn't find myself wanting to go do those anyway that much.
Yeah, so. I agree. And I didn't really remember, I couldn't remember that in the game that we played on Board Game Arena, so I was like, At first when I saw them, I thought, I didn't even look at them that closely, because I thought they were just like variants that you could use to switch it up a little bit. But then I saw reading the rules, I'm like, oh, well, these are supposed to cover these up. I don't remember those actions being covered up, but yeah.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. The actions, I think it's perfect to limit your actions right away, and then as you kind of get a feel for what you want to be doing, that's when you get the additional actions thrown in, so it's not overwhelming in that way. Which I'm just always worried about being overwhelmed with things in these types of games. But yeah, it just clicked for me for some reason.
Yeah, and I think you were totally right when you said you're only thinking 2 to 3 actions ahead, maybe. I don't, and obviously playing it only once, twice. It's hard to know. Maybe like the best players out there, they maybe can think about it that or more in advance, but I don't know that you really can, because things are being unlocked and the state of the spaceport and stuff are could be changing. So I'm not really. I mean, I would think that you have to be flexible in your strategy. I think, or someone could steal the spot you're going to go to, and then that would just mix up your entire plans. I think if you're trying to think way in advance. But I also like that. There it seems to be a set of core actions, and they just seem to get better as they go along. So then even too, if someone does take an action that you wanted, maybe you can still take it possibly as the game goes on. You can still take it, but you're just taking a lesser version. There were a couple that were kind
of repeating, and maybe it had a larger cost over earlier on the less advanced one. And I like, kind of being able to be flexible. I think taking your income pretty much at the end of each turn really lets you do that, where it's like, okay, I need ore, so I'm going to take that production. And it's like, okay, now I can't really do that. Luckily, you get to take another production at the end of your next turn, so you can just kind of pivot over to something else.
Right, yeah. Or like I find it interesting how the people one works as well, where you have cubes set in these, like, I think it's 5, is it 5 different columns? Something like that.
I think 4 or 5.
4 or 5. And kind of the first one starts as the one with the most in it, cubes, and then the next one has like 1 or 2 less, and the next one has 1 or 2 less. I find that interesting how and then you're unlocking throughout the game, and your income is based on how far you've unlocked it. Every one above that has a cube, you get to take over. I find that really interesting how that works. I don't know, I can't really think of anything to compare that to, but I do really like the feel of that. But then, like, when some of them get empty, it's also kind of interesting where then it's like, well, do I just take my ore production? Because that's consistent no matter what you do, where, you might have it unlocked a ways, but you have 2 columns empty of
so
people,
you're not going to gain anything
those
from that.
Right, and you're just getting the 1. So unless you really need that person, it's like, well, maybe I'll take my 2 or 3 ore production instead this round. Like you said, being flexible in that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So those are our initial thoughts on Beyond the Sun. Somehow Pepper is higher than I am. But yeah, I think this is one that I could see going up. I'm trying to think if it could maybe go down a little bit for me. I don't think it'll go down that much because I think I'll still really enjoy just the basis of the game and it not being... Like you said, I also think if it was that next level of really thinkiness, I don't know that I would like it as much, but I don't think that it is. But yeah, if you made it this far and you liked the video, we'd appreciate any thumbs up. If you want to see other first impression videos, definitely feel free to subscribe. We always appreciate subscribers, and it's also free. So we hope to see you on the next video. And as always, don't forget to
fly coat. I messed that up, didn't I?
Where were we going? Flying where?
Do not fly too close to the sun, which will... So I was trying to
go beyond it.
Completely messed that up.
It was those lasers. It got you in the eye and you got confused. But don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.